You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from everyone here at Go Time Dolphins in what is a quite monumental episode. Partly because of the way Go Time Dolphins tracks its episodes, but in terms of numbered episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from, this is the 500th episode 500. So congratulations, I guess. But I guess to talk through that and a lot more, as always, is Mr. Charlie Touche. Charlie, tell everyone what time it is.
It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. Got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast, and official affiliates of Fanatics, where you could be a fanatic of your favorite franchise. Kadeem, unceremoniously, did you just bring up like our 500th episode, is it?
Yeah, because like there's a few, basically there's the like 4 or 5 hour draft streams. They don't get uploaded to Spotify because they're just way too long. There's a few of the early interviews we did that didn't get numbered. This is probably technically 505, 510, but in terms of numbered episodes, this will go down as the 500th episode.
Well, you know, it's fitting, I think, that we never really seen ourselves having like an actual podcast. It was just two homies that just started recording themselves talking about the Dolphins, and then it kind of developed into a podcast. Although there was conversations of starting a podcast, and the fact that we really didn't pick up on, it's 500 episodes. Oh, this is our 5th year anniversary. Oh, we had 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 subscriptions. It's like we never really announced it. We never really highlighted. But I'm be honest with you, I didn't even know this was 500th episode, the 500th episode. And just saying that, I feel like although it might be something that's not really on the radar for us, I should really highlight the people who support us and this whole time that's been on this journey with us, which we really do appreciate you guys. And it's almost like when you have family that comes over to the house, or maybe it's not family, maybe it's a friend of the family that's been a friend of the family for years that you just feel awkward just calling this person a friend. And you know they could walk in the house without even knocking, like you're so comfortable with them. And that's what I feel like a lot of our subscribers are, and a lot of our friends and fans are of the podcast. And we just appreciate you, you all, and hanging around for 500 episodes. That's a long time to be put in Kadeem's accent.
Agreed. And yeah, it's, you know, I sometimes look at the demographic, if that's the right word, or like the countries that listen to Go Time Dolphins, and it truly is across the world. So for all of our listeners, to all of our fans, thank you so much for supporting us and thinking of us for the last 5 years now.
Not only do we just like happen to put it together like a Go Time Dolphins Awards episode, and then things fall in line and we get the Devon A-Chan drop and Touche's 24 with Devon A-Chan. 2 weeks in a row. I guess that was 2 weeks in a row. We get to, I don't like using the word coincidence. I don't really believe in coincidence, but ironically, on our 500th episode, we have a guest, someone we don't even call a guest anymore. He is family, like I just alluded to. And who better to have the 500th episode with than ShareRide Steve? That is what's up. ShareRide, I know you just heard that whole intro. Isn't that crazy?
It is. I had no idea. When you invited me, I had no clue. We're at 500. That's amazing.
Bro, I appreciate you just said we. Like, because you were a part of it. You feel me? Like, I'm dead serious.
You guys are very kind to me, and yes, you make me feel part of it, and I do feel part of it. I don't miss an episode, and you guys are the best podcast going, so I'm honored to be on.
Man, crazy how Miami Dolphins football could bring three strangers together from two different parts of the world. You know what I'm saying? But that is crazy, man. Got the guys on that. Fellas, how we doing, fellas? What's up, Steve? What you got going on?
Yo, I'm good, man. It's been a long time since I've been on. I've been dying to get on for a long time. It just life happens, and we had a insane season, and yeah, it's just crazy times, man. I'm happy to be back, and the best part, like you guys always say, nothing scripted, so it's just us chopping it up, and I'm looking forward to it.
My guys. It's crazy. We're not going to get into this part right now, but it's funny how as soon as we started this, there was a Adam Schefter tweet about Richie Incognito and Jonathan Martin. And shout out to 5 Yard Lee. 5 Yard Lee said, at least it's going to be a quiet offseason. But yet I think it's a book coming out from Jonathan Martin. Is it, Kadeem?
I think I saw that, for the last year, someone from like ESPN been talking to him about, I guess, his life, and it's like everything is now being uncovered. And it's something which, Charlie, you said quite a few times, like there's certain stories in Miami which we won't hear about till like 10, 15, 20 years later. This is clearly one of them. Another will be the relationship between Tua and Brian Flores. Like there's a whole bunch of things which only years after the fact, when you think, the Dolphins are about to endure a quiet offseason, is someone going to start talking again? Very quickly, I'm looking at my records, and it says Steve hasn't been on since the 20th of May, 2024, and that was to talk about Tua holding out of the Dolphins OTAs, which is insane.
Yeah, that's not cool, Steve. May? Like, bro, that's like a year.
The whole year. Yeah, the whole season we went, man. Yeah, it's terrible. I wish we could. We got to fix this. This is a problem that we have to fix and address, because trust me, there's moments where I'm like, I need to have my own podcast or something, because yes, I needed to vent with some fellow Dolphin fans. It's been way too long.
Yeah, Steve, you could just hit us up and say, "Hey, I'm coming on this weekend." I'll be like, "Oh, all right, all right, what day?" You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's not like you don't have an open invitation. You know what I'm saying? You could just jump on with us, and maybe we should get the ball rolling in a certain direction. What stood out to you so far? I don't know if you want to go to this offseason right now, or do you want to talk about how the season ended for us?
No, we can just jump in the offseason.
Yeah, how you feel about Bobby Slowik?
I like it. I like it a lot, because to me, one thing that we've done extremely well is always bring in great coaching talent. I mean, it's an ongoing joke. Hey, so-and-so left the door, left. And we should have kept him as head coach, yada. But this guy didn't have a great year. I guess he was really bumping heads with Stroud from the get-go. And I understand all that, but he was a hot name for the head coaching market a year ago. And for me to bring in some guy that clearly is talented, maybe has relationship issues, maybe a Brian Flores example, I love it. I absolutely, and he's not our OC. This isn't like a guy that's running the room. He is assisting, and he's the passing game coordinator. So I think it's a great move for our staff, and I think one thing McDaniel has done very well is identify coaching talent. He really, I even saw as this morning, our new wide receiver coach is being interviewed for the possible offense coordinator in New Orleans. So that's, I mean, I actually love that, to be honest with you. That doesn't even bother me. That tells me like, hey, we got a guy that's talented, that knows his stuff. So once again, coaching talent has never really been an issue in Miami overall. Yes, we've had some stretches that were bad, don't get me wrong, but overall, yeah, we're able to bring in some pure top tier talent.
Yeah, I don't think Flores could assemble a staff. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Flores himself, I thought was a pretty dope coach outside of the stuff that came to light. But he couldn't put together what we needed. I said on the last podcast when we brought up Slowick how this is the first time, and I don't know how you feel about this because it's almost like me and you are similar to how me and Kadeem don't really talk about Dolphins football. So then me and you will get to a point where we kind of talk more than me and Kadeem talk. But then we get to a point in our text, Steve, where it's like, oh, well, just come on the podcast. And apparently you still don't come on. You know what I'm saying? So we don't really talk about everything. You know what I'm saying? But last episode, I was like, I don't mind Coach McDaniel calling plays. Like, there has to be some type of, like, cause and effect. Like, you see how dope our offense can be at times. And then, everyone knows the record of like, what is it? Like 1-16 against teams over 500 or something like that. So, but I don't know if that's attributed to play calling. We understand that he doesn't get to play out on time, but this is the first time where I felt like, oh, there's someone on the staff now that can rival Coach McDaniel's play calling. So how do you feel about, should McDaniel call plays? Should we give it to Bobby Slowick off the jump? Are you unhappy with McDaniel being a play caller? How you feel about McDaniel just as not just a head coach, but more so as an offensive coordinator and play caller right now?
Well, I think a lot of people had issues that were completely justified with his timing, delivery, getting the plays called in. I think at this point we have enough information to understand his offense is complicated, and even the verbiage is probably more complicated than most. And Tua needs a little more time at the line to digest everything. And McDaniel, at the beginning, you can't fault that guy. I don't care what you're doing, whatever job you have in the world. Your first year compared to your third year on the job is completely different. So let's give this guy a little bit of a leash. We are in this microwave society where we have to roast everyone immediately. We need instant success. But yes, Charlie, I credit you for being on him about, hey, this is unacceptable. His growth should be more accelerated, in my opinion, and I think most people's opinions. But at the end of the day, it's not that bad. He still has a top offense. He just hasn't had all the guys there. So there's so many variables in it. I still want him calling plays, and it's a big but, I feel like you bring in a guy like Solik and you have Bevel. I want to keep Bevel. I thought the Raiders were going to snag him for sure in some capacity, maybe not OC, but you have a lot of guys in the room that are used to calling plays. They should, have a brainstorming session where it's like, okay, let's develop a system. Here's the clock. Here's the play clock. Play needs to be delivered by this second, whatever the system is. I don't have experience calling in plays, but we have enough intelligent guys that have a history of calling plays now that shouldn't be an issue. And I think McDaniel, yes, there was at times where you got frustrated with the bubble screens and whatnot. I do think, and I haven't been on forever, but simply put, the NFL's changed their defensive philosophies. They're not giving up the big plays, worked everything underneath, and we had to pivot. And pivoting didn't look fun. It looked awkward and weird at times, and it wasn't sexy to look at. It wasn't those big fun plays we love seeing Tyreek, score 60, 70, 80-yard touchdowns. So yes, our personnel I think has to change a bit. Everything has to. We have to adjust, like every good team and every coaching staff does. You adjust to the league, and I'm going to give McDaniel the benefit of the doubt of being able to do that. But in my opinion, give him a month or two into the season. Maybe we do have a plan B of we're more efficient if someone else calls the plays.
Kadeem, bro.
I hope he's open to that.
Staying on this topic, Kadeem. Real quick before I even give it to you, I don't know why. So I told y'all boys, I ain't got nothing to do today. I just woke up. It's a free day, and I'm like, I might hit the jacuzzi and the steam room, but it's too cold outside to really do that, right? So I'm like, I don't want to go. And it closes because it's Sunday. It closes kind of early. And I'm like, well, maybe we have an hour podcast and then maybe I go depending on how I feel. I was like, bro, there's no way. While ShareRide Steve was talking, there's no way this is going to be an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just too good. Like, it's like, it's more than just that, we keep saying, dude, this family here on the podcast, we miss you. But it's like, no, I haven't seen you in a long time. Tell me about the kids. How are you doing? Tell me, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real, bro, like, we could do this forever. You know what I'm saying? But Kadeem, me and ShareRide Steve kind of on the same page with this. I want to know how you feel about McDaniel calling plays or not calling plays or having to switch up the system or before we get to any other topic, because I think it's very relevant. And now, again, first time we had someone in the building that could rival McDaniel. But just like ShareRide Steve said, I understand when McDaniel first came in, there was almost like a ulterior motive. Like, I want to prove to everyone that Tua is a decent quarterback. And I think he did that, right? And then we had the bombs away. You feel me? But I also believe in Peyton Manning's philosophy in you never go broke taking a profit. And that's how you got Achane with 90 receptions on the season. And I have no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, not only do I not have a problem with that, I have no problem with switching up the philosophy of everyone thought Tua was a check down, throw it behind the line of scrimmage and yards after catch type of quarterback. But now we can actually turn into that if we wanted to. We have Tyreek Hill that can get 110 receptions a season, and same thing with Waddle. If we have to go intermediate, I have no problem with that. You know what I'm saying? And then you have a receiving back in Achane, and who knows what the additions we're going to bring. We'll talk to Steve about it. But Kadeem, bro, what's your opinion on what should we do with the play calling in Miami?
So first and foremost, we've got a comment. Shout out to Zero Jones and Big Up Cads. Love you, family. Thank you, appreciate it. Hope you are well. I disagree somewhat slightly. So you said that this is the first time we have someone who can, was it play calls or what was the
rival McDaniel in play calling? I mean, we did have Darrell Bevel in the building this whole time, so maybe he could have. But I think me and Steve actually are opposite ends of the spectrum there. I don't like Darrell Bevel, and I think Steve does.
And I think that's the interesting thing. There's always been at least one person who can call plays, quote unquote. Like Darrell Bevel was a NFL Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator. So there's something about him which means at the very least in that game he called a good enough game to get a dub. What I will say is, yeah, there's a clip from Tua. I can't remember who he's speaking to. He's just like someone famous, not a football player, and he kind of talks about what it's like being in a huddle and breaking a huddle and all that kind of stuff. And it's very telling that even as he's joking around and telling this story, he's like, so you're in the huddle, you hear the coach give you the play, and then he comes out the huddle and he's like, oh, I don't have time, F it, I'm going to throw it. Because that's basically what happens in Miami. It's by the time the play call gets in, by the time it gets to line of scrimmage, it's like, I've got 5 seconds, I can't check. We're just going to hike it and see what happens. And to do that and still put up a very good, system over the last 2 to 3 years is quite impressive. I said it on the last episode. I do think Bobby Slowick might get the ability to call plays in preseason. I think he should. We know what McDaniel can do calling plays. That's not an issue. even if you want to go down the Andy Reid school of thought, which is you guys might be HCs in next season, I'm going to give you the ability to call plays, even though these guys have done it already. But I do think it's a situation where you might have someone who can call the plays 2 seconds faster. By calling the plays 2 seconds faster, it's an extra 2 seconds at the line of scrimmage to do X, Y, and Z. So yeah, I think Slowick should call plays in preseason at the very least. And I think that there's someone in the building who, if McDaniel ever does make that logical isn't the right word, does make that decision to go, do you know what? I'm going to hand over play calling, then there is someone. However, I do think if it gets to that, he's probably going to get fired, because once you kind of get, especially given the season that we just had and the season we might have, if things are bad enough that you have to switch play callers, the chances are he's gone. And I don't think it'll be a situation where he decides that after game 2 or 3 and he gets 4, 5, 6, 7 to try and save his job. So yeah, I think if there is a change in play caller, it's because Mike McDaniel isn't in the building no more.
That's a good segue. And Steve, he talked about potentially McDaniel could be gone, and if McDaniel's gone, Greer's probably gone. That's a perfect segue in my opinion. Because what do you think about the shelf life of our front office? They just got extended. Well, McDaniel did just got an extension last season. What's the trajectory of this front office? Like, how long you think they got? For you, is it this year, this is it, and then they're gone? Or how you feel about the front office?
Yeah, let me touch on that, but let me rewind 1 second and say one thing that I think we all agree with McDaniel is his game management. Like the replay challenges are awful. It's sitting at home, you're just pounding your head against the wall saying, no, he caught it. No, he dropped it. Whatever it may be. It's crazy. Hire me. I can do a much better job. And that's what's wild. Like, why is it so difficult to get that right? And sometimes I understand if you're like giving your defense a break. Sometimes you're like, you know what? Let's pause the game. There's a chance we need whatever momentum. There's certain circumstances where you just want to hit the pause button. I get that. But man, his game management needs to improve as well. So it's not just play calling. I think his play calling is okay. It's just the delivery. He's got a lot on his plate, and he needs to work on all that. With that being said, with the front office and McDaniel, this is it for me. We are no longer need a playoff win. That ship has sailed. We need multiple playoff wins. We need a real stretch. We need to know whoever's in the championship game, we can match up against those people, like legit. I think we all agree watching the Eagles play, we can't match up against the Eagles right now. Their trenches are significantly better than ours. It's just that's it. I'm not going to be a downer. I think we'll probably get to it, but I think a lot of us are on the same page on the direction of what this team needs to be, and it just needs to be tougher. That's the bottom line. I know it's a very vague statement, but I've heard it a lot. For me, it's trenches, trenches, trenches. I don't want any more speed guys. The cuteness, it's lost its flair a long time ago. Now it's time to, just like Charlie, before we got on, we were talking about my company. This past year, there's a lot of trial and error. I learned a lot. Now I know what I need to do to pivot, right? And that's what they need to do. They clearly know what went wrong. Now fix it. And you don't have 3 years to fix it anymore. Like that your window is significantly tighter. Unfortunately for them, and this is just the truth, injuries have cost us at least to see what we could be, and that's unfortunate. That's what's most difficult, and I have to give it to Greer. I know a lot of people want Greer's head. To me, I feel for the guy because on paper I think he's done a pretty good job developing a nice roster. 2 years ago, it's the best roster I've ever seen in my life by far. Now it's ton of talent is still there, lots of holes and lots of question marks, but the leash is short. The leash is tight. If you get to the AFC Championship, you're probably going to see next year. If you don't see the AFC Championship this year, you're gone. That's what I think it's like that.
Steve, like 2 days ago, I had an epiphany, and I'm at work during my 72-hour shifts. I'm like, yo, the Eagles are what the Dolphins are supposed to be. Like, we were supposed to be that team that built a sustainable winner. You know what I'm saying? And we had a pretty good roster, like you just alluded to. And we had a couple seasons that looked kind of promising. Like, oh, you know what? We're going in the right direction. I started to feel good about, we're going to be here for a little bit. And then the Eagles make a Super Bowl, lose it. And then they come back and win a Super Bowl within 3 years, 5 years, 5 years, 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't it? Because they lost to the Chiefs. So within 3 years, they reached 2 Super Bowls and win one. And I'm like, wait a minute, bro. This was all of my, we're going to win the Super Bowl by 2024. It's like, that's what the Eagles did. The Eagles did everything I thought the Dolphins were going to do. They were everything I thought the Dolphins were going to be. You know what I'm saying? They built this incredible roster, which the Dolphins, I believe the Dolphins did. And we just didn't deliver on it. And I'm like, that's crazy to me. Now, we could get into, which probably won't, but probably will with a little bit. We could get into, the first 2 years were sabotage. Tua wasn't healthy. He lost 11 players total going into a playoff game in Kansas City. I understand all of it. But at the same time, we're not the Eagles right now, like Steve just said. And it was just crazy to me when I sat there like, the Eagles are exactly what the Eagles are where I thought the Dolphins would be in the past 5 years. Like, I thought we were going to be this team. Like, we're going to be sustainable for a while. And now we have a lot of questions about a lot of things.
Sorry, can I just
go ahead?
Sorry, very quickly, because you mentioned, the Eagles and the trenches and stuff like that. And it's one thing I've been meaning to check out. The Eagles offensive line, which is probably the best in football and has been for quite a while, or at least top 5. And I'm looking at where they've drafted, basically their offensive line. And they've got one player that they drafted in the first round. That was Lane Johnson in 2013. Everyone else, so Landon Dickerson, second-round pick. Cam Jurgens is a second-round pick. Jordan Mailata is a 7th-round pick who hadn't played American football before he joined the Eagles. Tyler Steen is a 3rd-round pick. Jack Driscoll is a 4th-round pick who started the season in Miami. Well done. You just won yourself a Super Bowl ring. And then Mekhi Becton, who they picked up in free agency, who was a failure in New Jersey with the Jets, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And then the starting quarterback was a 2nd-round pick as well. So I don't know if we'll get to it today, but you don't need to find offensive linemen in the first round. They have so many players taken outside of the first round. It is beyond a joke. But they just know how to draft. And until the Dolphins know how to draft, they're kind of screwed. No offense.
Howie Roseman is another person. Like, everybody wanted him gone in Philly. You know what I'm saying? He missed on Justin Jefferson. They were on his head like, what is Howie done? Then he made it to a Super Bowl, and they still kind of, this is not enough. We still want Howie out of here, and now he's won one. So it's like Philly is an unrational fan base. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, I mean, yeah, I feel you on that, bro. Not to toot my own horn, but how many people do you find in 2 Shades 24 that aren't 1st-round picks? The whole point of 2 Shades 24 is to not have 1st-round picks on that list. You know what I'm saying? So just like Steve said, hire me. I could do it from the couch and be better at some of this stuff. But you were about to say something, Steve?
No, the rebuild after they got rid of Wentz is the most underrated rebuilds ever. It's incredible between drafting and free agency. And it's common sense free agency too. It's not even like sneaky. Yes, the middle linebacker was phenomenal. That guy was basically a special teams player. And But Barkley, AJ Brown, Slay, like there was big names that I don't know, the league wasn't very high on for whatever reason. And he just, come to us. And he, like you say, he's drafting extremely well. And then the coaching staff, to me, that was icing on the cake this year. That's what put them to the level where they are with Fangio and bringing in more who just had that experience and just a phenomenal job. Kansas City has obviously been the model franchise forever, but what Philly has done is really impressive. And they're not even in like their cap and all that stuff that you don't hear rumors like, oh my gosh, their contracts are awful and they don't have any draft capital. You don't hear any of that kind of stuff because they really just kind of played by the rules and kept it simple, which is so impressive.
Steve, this is a Miami Dolphins podcast, and Laramie Tunsil he has a holiday on Go Time Dolphins. It's Laramie Tunsil Day on Go Time Dolphins. Everyone said, "Oh, Laramie Tunsil needs a statue." Are you guys aware of the compensation that came back for Carson Wentz? Did you know that in the Carson Wentz trade, what came back from Carson Wentz was A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Cooper DeJean, and I think they're one of their D linemen that was like a first or second round pick. Jalen Carter. Bro, like that came from Carson Wentz. So Laramie Tunsil brought back this and this, like, bro, like, come on, bro. Like, so people are doing it. It can be done. You know what I'm saying? So, and we might as well get into it now. What is it about people, and not just players, but coaches as well, going or being successful before they reach Miami, failing in Miami, and then being successful somewhere else? And we land the plane on Vic Fangio. Like, yo, Vic Fangio was ran out of Miami, and defense didn't do particularly well with them. And then he goes and win the Super Bowl a year later, bro. And I text you, Steve. I'm like, yo, we're broken, bro. Something is broken in Miami. We got to figure it out. Like, what is it about the Miami that people are just don't have success in Miami, but they have it before and after?
Well, let's pump the brakes a bit, because it's not like Fangio started his career in Miami and then left and then all of a sudden became a Super Bowl. That guy was a Hall of Fame defensive coordinator before he came to Miami. So he had an amazing resume prior, and a lot of and we're going to go 2 decades. A lot of guys are in similar boats that we brought in, great success elsewhere, didn't work out so much here, and then they went on to great careers. I don't know. It's so, everyone's like, oh, we got to change the culture and this and that. Man, for me, it always starts on the top. We talked about this with Gase, right? That was the big, and to me, Gase biggest problem was culture. I don't think we had a lot of great guys. I think we have a lot of great guys in this locker room. I think not everyone's great, but it's just the injuries. To me, that's the bottom line. And yes, I know we have holes. And yes, I know we should have went this direction instead of that direction. And it's easy. Hindsight's always gonna win, right? It's always easy to go back and say we should have done this or that. But in the Fangio situation, I think I was trying to text you, and I know texting isn't the best to convey your message, but like, if I was Stephen Ross, if I could sit down with Fangio, not to bring him back, nothing like that, just open up your mind. Please just tell me what you think is wrong, because that guy not only is in a winning culture now, he's got a super talented defense. He knows what it's like to have the talent, have the success, have it all. Okay, what I as an owner, I guess even McDaniel would benefit. What are we doing wrong, in your opinion? And of course, he's probably going to instantly throw some players under the bus, which I'm okay with, to be honest with you, because something is wrong. Something is kind of off. We had too many players bash Fangio on the way out, too many, and star players too, and that's a problem. That is a real problem for me, because it's a lack of respect, in my opinion. Players that's why Tomlin's successful, because he's respected. No one is going to try him because it's a losing battle. But you can kind of try a new guy that's on the block that came in. I'm super glad we're keeping. I like Weaver a lot. I thought he had a real chance to go with the Saints. But that's another thing. I think we got to be a little more grateful about some of the talent we have in Miami. I think a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, Fangio's okay. I was a huge fan. I loved the signing. I loved the experience he brought.
I remember that, Steve.
I really did. And it him walking out the door, it was head scratching to me to hear some of our star defense players basically rejoice. And that's where I would dissect that. Where are they right? He right? What's going on there?
Steve, I'll be real with you. I wasn't a fan of Fangio, but I'm not a fan of a lot of things. But something about myself, I like to give people a chance, although I might not be a fan of them. Like, I was not a fan of Tannehill. All right, let's see what we get. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was not a fan of if I'm not a fan of something, I like to see how it develops, right? Like, yo, I don't like this. I don't feel good about it. Let's see what happens. So,
yeah.
Perfect example, Tyreek Hill trade. Was not a fan of the Tyreek Hill trade. Ended up being, I think it was great. You know what I'm saying? That the results, you know what I'm saying? Although we didn't turn them into multiple, like, winning seasons. But I think it was, obviously, I was like, yo, I would love to have Tyreek Hill. Just wouldn't trade what we traded for him. Shout out to Vic Fangio, because he never wavered, bro. He stayed himself. He stayed, like, everyone was screaming out, hey, he needed to blitz more. And not only did he not blitz more in Miami, he went to Philly and didn't blitz more either. You know what I'm saying? He stayed true to himself, who he was, ended up winning the Super Bowl. And and I'm not going to allow ShareRide Steve to bring it up and feel bad about it. So I'll bring it up for everyone. But it's funny how when I text ShareRide Steve, sometimes I feel like he's on the sauce. Like, I'm like, all right, ShareRide Steve might have had too many drinks. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, my dog, ShareRide Steve might have had too many. He's going off right now. You feel me? Sometimes I'm like, all right, let me just give my dog some space. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going off right now. But you did basically say, yo, Tua's not healthy. And I think since we've been on this podcast and you listen to every episode, I think you heard us say Tua's not available either. You know what I'm saying? Like, we also say, yeah, he's not available. When he went that entire season without getting hurt, which was also the season Vic Fangio was the coach. So DC. So I need to put that out there that, yo, the year Vic Fangio was the DC, Tua had his best season. So it wasn't that we weren't unsuccessful because of Tua that season, and he didn't get hurt that season, and he actually led the NFL in passing yards that season. But that being said, when that season happened and he led the league in passing yards and there was no concussion, and it was like, oh, maybe, I don't want to call a concussion a fluke. I don't. But maybe the concussions that were prior to that season, maybe we got past that. I kind of felt like we could have got past that. Like, oh, if you don't hit the back of your head on the turf, you're not going to get a concussion. And then last year happens, and it was like, yo, all of the eggs were in one basket. Be real, I'm out. There's nothing in our way no more. The defense could do whatever they want to do. We're going to win games, and we're going to get to where we need to be. We're going to compete for a divisional title. And then Tua goes out second game with a concussion. So at that point, it was like, you know what? This is not sustainable. We cannot operate a franchise, a football team like this. And I don't care who Steve, bro, hey, you acting, bro. You like, bro, you know, I don't. All right, maybe I'm.
Okay. Hey, I give you respect. I'm not.
Hold on.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud.
Let me land the plane. Let me land the plane, right? Because you're walking around. I need you to sit down with your seatbelt. You know what I'm saying? Listen. At the end of the day, I can sit here on this podcast, and I have sat here on this podcast and said, yo, Tua has to be available. not only does he have to be available, you cannot put your team, your franchise, your city, your fans in this predicament. And I know I could say that. But it's funny that some people can't say, oh, yeah, but he's a really good quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like people just can't fix their mouth to say it. They just have to say, oh, I told you he was injury prone. Or I told you he couldn't do X, Y, or Z. But it's like, yo, yeah, he's not available, but you skipped the part of where he did lead the league in passing. He is the most accurate quarterback in the NFL statistically. He does do all of these things that we also said he does, but he also happens to be unavailable. So it's a real thing. It's a real conversation. Kadeem, you've been quiet for a minute. Before I give it back to you, ShareRide. Kadeem, what you got for us?
I don't know how we got into Tua when we started off talking about Vic Fangio. We have a few comments. So Cliff D says Finn's players were too lazy to do Fangio's workouts. Greer should never have traded Tunsil. He can't replace him with 10 draft picks. Players that bash Fangio are morons. JML says, hey guys, yo, what's up, ShareRide Steve? Welcome. And then BW says, when your coach can't find the players enough for showing up showing up late to meetings, there's your answers. Eagle Nation appreciates it. What's interesting is I've got a friend who's an Eagles fan. Shout out to Ben. And we met up for a few drinks last season. And he was like, Sirianni needs to go. This offense is awful. Like, I don't like this. It's everyone knows what we're going to do now. X, Y, and Z. He hands over play calling, wins the Super Bowl. But Fangio, so for people that say, you know, Finn players were too late to do Fangio's workouts or plays that bash him and morons, all that kind of stuff. While Fangio was in the building towards the end of that season, I feel like the majority of fans were like, get rid of this guy. He didn't want to be here in the first place. Jalen Ramsey should not be doing one half of the field. Let him roam. Let him do what he's best at. For people that blame Mike McDaniel for keeping in Bradley Chubb, hey, as a DC, I'm pulling you out. I can't imagine Mike McDaniel's going, no, let's keep let's keep Bradley Chubb on the field in a game that you've already lost. As I said on the last podcast, I believe the Eagles had 21 of 22 available starters for the Super Bowl. Shout out to that is absolutely amazing. The Dolphins went into that Kansas City Chiefs game so banged up. But again, I thought, you know what? Let me see where the majority of this Eagles defense, where they were drafted. So Zach Bourne was a free agent from the Saints this year, 3rd round pick. Oren Burks was a free agent pickup from the 49ers, 3rd round pick. Nolan Smith was a 1st round pick last year, balling out, fair play. Josh Wett was a 4th round pick in 2018. Reed Blankenship was an undrafted free agent. Undrafted. And now look at him. Super Bowl winner, playing absolutely amazing. And they picked him up in 2022. So getting better each year. Cooper DeJean was a 2nd round pick. And it's interesting because on the April 17th, we had Charlie Wilson on the podcast, and the episode was, should the Dolphins select Cooper DeJean at 21? And everyone was like, no, why would you do that for? That's stupid. Cooper DeJean, amazing rookie season in Philadelphia, well done. CJ Gardner-Johnson was a free agent pickup from the Lions. Avonte Maddox was a 4th round pick in 2018. Quinion Mitchell was a 1st round pick this year, and Darius Slay was a 2nd round pick in 2013, picked him up from the Lions in 2020. This isn't a defense, which again is all 1st round picks, or, all came through the Eagles system. These are a bunch of guys that know how to play football. And I think to bring it back to the Dolphins, it was just a bad fit. Fangio was a bad fit. He didn't want to be there. Play didn't want him to be there. And he left. And he basically ended up where he wanted to be because he was what did he do with the Eagles? He was like a not a coordinator.
Yeah, he was
consultant. He was a consultant.
He was some type of advisor. He was some type of like something advisor to the something. Like it was one of those made up positions. Hey, we want you in the building so we don't lose you, but we can't just give you someone else's job right now. And then that's how we ended up luring him away. and then he went back. And anyway, Steve, it looked like you had a whole bunch of stuff to say. I want to get this to you though before you do. I kind of want to talk about your thoughts on Tyreek Hill too, because he said he wanted out. So I'll let you go wherever you want to go. But if you could land on Tyreek Hill wanting out and then saying he's staying out and the state of Tyreek Hill, I'd like to know your thoughts.
No, it's a perfect segue. So, Kadeem, you said that Fangio just wasn't a good fit because the players didn't like him. That I have a problem with that. That means they have a problem with authority, in my opinion. Like they want they want it too comfortable. You know what I mean? Like to me, that is a red flag. If when you have players whining that aren't winning, that's just a losing franchise mentality. You need to just. I mean, all the cliches are true. It starts from the top, the ownership, and the ownership. As much, and trust me, I'm not the biggest fan of Steven Ross by any means, but for him to get rated number one for facilities and all that stuff, we're the number one club, props to him. That means that he is doing some things right. He is making players comfortable in the cafeteria and that sort of thing. So he's doing his part to some degree. Obviously, he's culture, everyone's involved. It's not just, the head coach and everything. But for me, you have Fangio, who is a very experienced head or NFL coach, head coach, defense coordinator. And for players, I mean, these aren't Super Bowl champions we're talking about. I mean, name a player. Ramsey. Ramsey's the only guy we got, right? That bothers me. Like, it's just it can't be like that. And then with Tyreek Hill to run his mouth like that, that's not unexpected to me. When we got him, I liked the move. I wanted the move. That's a ticking time bomb. We all know this. This isn't going to be just on cruise control for the next 6, 7, 8 years, and then he retires and puts on his gold jacket. We know it was going to be a bumpy road at times. He needs the ball. He needs it. His reaction it bothered me, of course. I didn't love to see it. It was, we all cringed, but I mean, put a microphone in my face as a fan after that game. I'm going to be probably embarrassed about some of my comments as well. So he just didn't have the presence of mind to say, okay, let me go cool down. Let me go talk to Mina Kimes or Adams or whoever a month from now. Let me see where it's at. Someone needed a Campbell. Someone in that locker room needed to pull him aside when he was, because I'm sure he was barking way before a microphone got in his face, and be like, yo, you need to just relax. Everyone's hot. Everyone's upset. And that's it. So McDaniel, as much as he was my third choice, right? I don't regret the hire. I wanted Harbaugh, then Peyton, then McDaniel. That's looking pretty accurate right now. Like,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm still out on your list. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't want Harbaugh. I still don't want him. I'm not saying he's bad, and I'm happy with McDaniel over Peyton and Harbaugh. I'm still happy with it. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
But that's what was available at the time. I'm happy with it, but there is to me.
On the brakes, Peyton wasn't available. Peyton wasn't available. Because we would have had to trade for him.
No, see, that's what was McDaniel was the only thing available.
Right.
Harbaugh wasn't available, and Peyton wasn't available.
Cool.
So we got my number one choice that was available. To me, McDaniel, let's just face it, he's not a tough guy, and your team is going to reflect your head coach in some capacity. We're a smart, cutting edge, fun football team. Innovative, but at the end of the day, we're not a meat and potatoes type of team. I think McDaniel likes to run the ball, right? That's where his specialty is. Okay, he needs to morph some. Greer needs to morph some, and we need to bring in guys that are going to get more respect. And you might have to have like Super Bowl ring guys, whatever it may be. It's a lack of respect, I think, ultimately in-house. that we need.
But like, I think what's interesting, you said, was it so like this team's not tough or something along those lines, or like they don't like authority? Did you say? But this is also a team which the same issues you had under Weaver this year, which is this defense can't tackle to save its life, was there last year under Vic Fangio, can't tackle to save its life, and was also there under Brian Flores, I don't want to call him a dictator, but a very strict colonel kind of guy, walking single file, takes no talent, all that kind of stuff. Still couldn't tackle. It doesn't matter who the player is. Deshaun Elliott, comes in, can't tackle, made a few good tackles, but can't tackle, leaves the building, can tackle. Javon Holland clearly had a massive issue with Vic Fangio, but had a very, very good season. This season, can't tackle, awful. Absolutely awful. Jalen Ramsey butted heads with Vic Fangio, said over and over again, I want to move around. I am not a corner. I am not a safety. I am a DB. I think he regressed this season just gone. But it's like there were so many people in the building under Vic Fangio who stayed the year after and had the exact same issues. So, like, to me, what is that? Why is it that when people come to Miami, they just can't play football? And it's the same way, before I hand it back, someone like Brandon Jones, friend of the podcast, Brandon Jones, who at the time was like, get rid of him, he's not good, he's injury prone, all that kind of stuff. Me and Charlie were like, he's a good safety, great partnership with Javon Holland, you might want to retain him. Go to Denver, balls out. And everyone's like, maybe we should have kept him. It's insane. It goes back to, why is it people come to Miami, can't do anything, and then the moment they leave, it's like, oh yeah, I can do it again. It's insane.
You're over exaggerating, Kadeem. Calm down, man. Like,
is it? Because my dog.
Like, where?
He jumped in. I'm like, yo, my dog.
Playoffs. We made the playoffs 2 previous years, like playoff teams. And I was even looking at hotels 2 years ago for the Super Bowl. Like, and I'm not even that guy. I believed. Injuries, Fangio said it. Hey, what happened in Miami? Hey, we got hit by injuries. Like, let's call it what it is.
Hold on, I gotta stop. Hold on, Steve. I'm gonna let you stop. Hold up, Steve. Hold on. Yeah. I have to say this. It has to be cleared up. Fangio was on this team, and the quarterback was available the whole season and was not a part of the injury bug. So yeah, we did get hit with injuries, but it was predominantly like everyone on the defensive side of the ball. And then it was also, I think Waddle was hurt too. But at the same time, it's like, yo, yeah, we got hit with injuries, and injuries are a real thing. But yo, you can't expect to win when you have, like what Kadeem said, 21 to 22 of your starters started, and the Dolphins went into KC and played in the freezer. I got to find out how you feel about my freezer theory. But and only had like 12 of their 22 starters. It's crazy. That's a crazy number. But go ahead, my bad.
That's what I'm saying. That's why. Listen, the Same Old Dolphins podcast, great. Those guys do a great job. The world is ending. You know what I mean? Like, Greer needs to go. All this. No, I don't understand why. Like, do you remember what 2011, 12, 13? Like, just go back in history. How bad we were. We have talent in house. It just needs to be honed in. And I'll give Ross credit, because what does everyone want to do all the time? Blow everything up instantly. This isn't working. Blow up. Quarterback isn't. Just stay the course. If Greer is drafting talent, let's just face it. Let's look back at his last class, the class before. These aren't draft classes that are horrible. They're just not. Now, would you rather see a nice guard, a nice tackle, whatever detail? Yes, maybe different positions where he would hit. No doubt. But the guy isn't just missing on these draft picks right now. I think the philosophy needs to change, and we need to adjust to the league, like I said, and become more dominant. I'm all about 12 personnel. Now, with Smith rising and having an excellent year, Charlie, I said it way too early. Draft prediction or /wish is the kid from Penn State, the tight end. I would love to line up in 12 personnel and see what that looks like. You have two amazing receiving tight ends. I don't know how well that kid blocks. I haven't done my research on him, but I watched him in the college playoffs. He looks incredible. Sorry, I'm not trying to get off track. But we can't just line up anymore and just have the track team outrun people. The NFL has adjusted to that. So I think you have talent in-house. Let them adjust. Let us see what it looks like. It just boils back to the injuries, and I hate excuses. Excuses are for losers. I get that. I do, but it's a reality that it's just, even Fangio says it. Even when you have coaches, obviously McDaniel's not going to say it as a coach, like, hey, that's why we fall short. We just didn't have enough guys. But it just, to me, we watch the games, guys. We watch every minute. If we're fully healthy the past 2 years, are we knocked out in the first round? I don't think so. I think we are a higher seed. We're playing at home. Things are different.
But this is the first time I can remember in my adulthood as a Dolphin fan, and I'm being honest with you, I don't remember a time. Usually when it's time to move on from coaches or front offices, you're kind of upset in the process. Like, you know what? It's time, bro. You got to go. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we spent too much time on you. You reach your limit. You're capped out. You're maxed out. You're like, all right, I'm done. Right? I'm not done with Greer and McDaniel. Although I know we need to see results. You see what I'm saying? So this is the first time in my adult life where I'm like, do we move on from McDaniel and Greer? You know what I'm saying? Because there is a continuity is a real thing. So, and now what happens is it's timing. How does the contract line up with your quarterback? And then who else becomes available? Like if Kyle Shanahan became available, who else comes? It's a lot of things. There are a lot of variables when it comes down to your front office. So now it's like, all right, this is a real thing. This is not a hypothetical. You're in a place where if you stay the course, see how this year plays out, you can basically get out of Tua's contract and move on from the front office if you want, or you can move on from Tua if you want and kept the front office, meaning when I say front office, I'm just going to say the coach and the GM, if you so desired. I know a lot of people in Dolphins media does not want Greer to hang around. I actually don't have a problem with Greer. Obviously, I have an issue with him not addressing the O-line as I would have, but I don't have a problem with him as our GM. So that being said, there's also of course you can go where it's like, bro, if you moved on from Bradley Chubb, you get all the cap space that you want. If you reconstruct Bradley Chubb, you get all the cap space you want. If you reconstruct Bradley Chubb and Tua, it's like cap isn't even an issue. It's like cap doesn't even exist. Now, I want to be very clear. If you reconstruct Tua, you're locked in for the duration of the contract. And I know that does not sound promising with someone who can't stay available, right? So there are options the Dolphins have right now. And I'm very, very curious to see what happens within this next 30, 45 days, because if Tua gets reconstructed, then that's pretty much saying, hey, yeah, Ross is saying, I'm not listening to the mob, and we're going to die on this hill if we don't win a Super Bowl of Greer, McDaniel, and Tua, which, and I'm going to let you go, Kadeem, which I'm actually okay with and I understand. But I also understand if they said, all right, this is the last season for all three of them. I really do. But Kadeem, you wanted to say something.
Yeah. Shout out to Cliff D. Thanks for the comments. He says, no team is fully healthy. I refer back to the Eagles who just won the Super Bowl. I am 99% sure 21 of their 22 starters played that game. So that is, you're right, not fully healthy, but like, let's be completely honest. You can't get much healthier than that. And then it says, Finns have no depth, so injuries hurt. Thanks, Greer. So I am looking at the injury report for the Kansas City Chiefs game, which, as I mentioned on the last podcast, the Chiefs are undefeated at home in the playoffs for at least 3 years. If they have a home playoff game, they don't lose. Like, it's insane. So on the injury report, you had Teron Armstead, it's Armstead. I don't think he even played the game.
Which game is this the injury report for? Is this the Dolphins versus Chiefs?
Yeah, the playoff game. Yeah.
Okay.
Found the injury report. So Armstead was on the injury report. I can't remember if he played or not. Both Elliott and Holland were questionable. Xavier Howard was out. Devon Achan was banged up. Liam Eichenberg was banged up. Tyreek Hill was banged up. Mostert was questionable. Jalen Ramsey was banged up. And Waddle was questionable. And that's not even mentioning the guys who were on injured reserve at that point. So Jerome Baker, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Cameron Good, Andrew Van Ginkel, Connor Williams, Isaiah Wynn. You can say that
Austin Jackson wasn't. I didn't think Austin Jackson played that game.
I don't think he did either, but he wasn't on an injured reserve. But yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
again, again, it's like,
bro, I ain't gonna lie. Just off the top of my head, I felt like I heard like 11 starters. That's what I just heard. It felt like 11 starters that I just heard. It felt like it, but we don't have.
But it's just like there's no team is fully healthy. But again, you're going into a team that does not lose at home in the playoffs, and you basically have no defense. And then you're saying to them, next man up. It wasn't next. That game wasn't next man up. It was next to the next man up. I can understand being upset with that loss. I can understand a year or 2 years later going, things have no depth. Depth just got decimated by injuries. Like we signed someone up off the street that week and said, "Hey, go start in the playoffs. Enjoy yourself."
It was the dude that used to play in Kansas City, Houston, wasn't it? His last name Houston. He was a D lineman, D tackle, like linebacker.
Justin Houston.
Justin Houston.
Yeah.
Justin Houston. Yeah.
And I think we also got that Melvin and also Bruce Irvin.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking. Bruce Irvin. That's it.
Yeah.
Like you're going into Kansas City with Justin Houston and Bruce Irvin saying, "Hey, you don't know the system, you don't know the scheme, but go in there and knock off Patrick Mahomes." And then when it doesn't happen, going, "Oh, we have no depth." I'm not even trying to have a go at anyone, but let's just be realistic.
Yeah. You about to say something, Steve?
Yeah, and I want to say so to the listeners that are thinking I'm crazy, like, no, Greer's got to go and all that. To be honest with you, and if you're a longtime listener, you know how I feel about Tua. He can play when he's healthy. Yes, you need a supporting cast, yada, yada. He's the huge part of bringing back Greer and McDaniel. Like, I just don't understand. You just signed this guy to a contract. When you signed Tua to that deal, you basically were signing Greer and McDaniel, in my opinion, for at least 2 years. Unless it's really falling off the rails, most likely you're looking more like 3 if we're really competitive, going in, making a deep playoff run. But that is a huge piece of this, where you can't just say, okay, buy Greer, buy McDaniel, and then you're going to bring in someone to cater to Tua and start all over again? No. McDaniel and Tua have chemistry. They get along. Like, let's let that grow. And like I said, we need to adjust, but sorry, I just wanted to make that clear that it's a complicated situation. It's not just, you can't single out one guy and just be like, oh, he's just not. No, it's a machine and they're all a part. And for the machine to run effectively, you need the parts to all get along.
I said it on several times now. McDaniel, Tua, and Greer made this bed, and all 3 of them had to sleep in it. Like, all of them had their hand in it. I don't know if I really we're about to get into bonus time. And if you could give me a short answer on this, Steve, I don't know if I actually got your answer on Tyreek Hill. What would you do with him? Are you going to keep him and let's see what happens? Are you trying to trade him because you don't know how he's going to act during the season? Like, what do you want to do with Tyreek Hill?
Keep everything in-house much as possible. No crazy reports on ESPN. I don't want First Take or whoever, all the media outlets talking about this on a daily basis, but I am most definitely listening to other teams. I would like to keep him, which sounds a little strange because I'm hearing just crazy compensation, like just a second round or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's what I think it'll be.
This guy can play. That's one thing. He might be a head case kind of off the field, but when he gets between the lines, this guy does give his all. This guy does perform, and there's plenty of teams, in my opinion, that would love to have him. So if the compensation isn't right, I'm keeping him. If the compensation is what worth doing, I'm okay with moving on.
I don't think I think it would be unprecedented to get more than a second and a third round pick for Tyreek Hill right now. Like, I think that's what happens when you drive the car off the lot. Like, the value goes down. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's where we are. We're about to get in both times, Steve. We doing this. You know what I'm saying? We chilling. But ShareRide Steve, to send you out the right way before we get into bonus time, man, bro. This is the most comfortable episode ever. 500th episode, by the way. And it's comfortable. And it's with ShareRide Steve. Like, bro, it's like we're not even having a podcast. We're just chilling. We're just talking. Like, I feel like I want to get up, go get a drink, come back. Like, oh, yeah, round 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, but, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. Maybe Kadeem want to say something else to you before we get into bonus time?
It's one of those episodes where beforehand I was thinking maybe we should start a bit earlier, because I know when you get into bed at 1 a.m., Hannah's going to be like, why come to bed so late? I've got work in the morning. But if you start an hour earlier, it will be the exact same. Like, it doesn't matter what time we start. It's going to be a long one, and I love it every single time. We just can't let it be the next time we come on be a year. Like, that just needs to stop.
Hey, how about this episode was really scheduled for Valentine's Day. And I was like, oh, ShareRide Steve, can you come on? And ShareRide Steve was like, yeah, I got you. And he's like, wait, that's Valentine's Day. And in my head, I'm like, see, that's what happens when you're single again. You feel me? And it's like, yo, I forget about Valentine's Day. I don't know when Father's Day is. You feel me? I like, yo, like, and then here we go with 2 people that are, you know what I'm saying? But I like, dang, I got to do better. I got to be better as a host. But look, we're about to get into bonus time. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive, test negative. For Kadeem Simmons and ShareRide Steve, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time.
I was just going to say about Tyreek Hill. It's, you knew exactly what you was getting in with him the moment you traded for him. Like, he's been far from perfect off the field since before he got drafted into the league, and he's had his issues since being in the league. And you only have to look at the first game of this season. As we are arriving to the stadium, we see all the players thinking, what happened? As you're walking in going, Tyreek Hill being invested. And then he gets in the field and had that amazing touchdown. You know what you're getting out of Tyreek Hill. And Steve, like you said, and I said it in the review after the game, fans who had quit on the team and stopped watching the team weeks ago got upset that Tyreek Hill done the exact same thing. And, you know, having worked in the media, the best and worst time to speak to any athlete is after a loss, because they're going to tell it to you raw and straight and then go, I shouldn't have said that, but it's too late. And Hill even said, I didn't want to speak to the media. I didn't want to do it because my mind wasn't there. And they forced him to, and that's what happened. It was absolutely amazing, just not for a Dolphins fan.
Hey, Noah Lyles and Tyreek Hill supposed to race. Y'all interested?
Yeah.
You on mute, Steve?
No, I'm not really interested. I think Tyreek doesn't have a chance.
I think we get to see Donovan Bailey and Michael Johnson again, and I think one of them pulls up. Like,
it's gonna be Tyreek.
1,000,000%. One of them's gonna pull up and say, "Oh, if I didn't get hurt, come on, Michael Johnson, you embarrassed us, bro. I didn't appreciate that." That was but anyway, ShareRide Steve, where do we go now? I know you said build the trenches, all the good stuff. I know you said you don't want to be the booty shaking team no more. I get that, but if we get 2 free agents, and I kind of shared what I would do as far as the direction of this offseason, I'm curious. Hey, yeah, you got what, 8, 10 draft picks? You're probably not going to pick 8 or 10 O-linemen, right? But I know you want to improve O-line. But how you feel about Deebo Samuel if he becomes available?
I'm very interested.
Very
I'm
interested.
interested. Yeah, because I'm just, he's a little bit injured, but I just want more toughness, man. I mean, and it's just not the trenches, um, it's anywhere I can step up. Basically, I would be comfortable with a straight up swap, Debo and Hill. Just a different dynamic. I want a different looking offense. I want to run the ball. I want something. I'm hoping we're gonna have home field advantage, but we just have to realize we can't be relying on the passing game, man, when it's all on the line. And physical team, man. I mean, it's going to be a lot of the cliche things. It's hard to pinpoint it, but I'm telling you, Debo is there a more physical wideout in the league?
Bro,
I don't think so.
Is there a more alpha of a wideout in the league? Listen, here's how I feel about Debo. And that was interesting that you say you would trade Tyreek for Debo, because I think you would get more back if you're the Dolphins. You'll get Debo back and some stuff. Here's my thing about Debo. I want Debo, right? Like, I want him to become a free agent first before I get him. I don't want to trade for him, because then you have the rights to his contract and you could manipulate some stuff in the contract. And with Debo coming to Miami, he'll be the third option, not even third option. He might be like the fourth or fifth option on offense. You know what I'm saying? If you add Achane and Jonnu Smith outside of Waddle and Tyreek, because I feel like Tyreek is movable in my opinion. But if you do just add him to the team, you have that means you will have a depth piece at receiver and Debo. If whoever goes down at receiver, you still have Debo. Or if Debo goes down himself, you still have your original core. And then you also have Debo as a backup running back. So I'm only doing this if Debo understands he has to play running back as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we need him to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear, oh, I'm a receiver and I don't want to, like, nah, bro. Like, this, if we bring you here, it's because we want you to do everything that we want you to do. So then you don't have to address backup running back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got Jalen Wright and Achane, and that's all you have right now. But if you have Jalen Wright, Achane, and Debo, everybody feels happy about that. You know what I'm saying? Last but not least, for every Dolphin fan that says we got to get tougher and we're too soft and we'll have no dog and this and this, all this stuff, and then Debo becomes available and people say, oh, I don't want him. It's like, all right, bro. I don't know. I don't know what you want if you're not interested. Not saying you have to be over for him, but you're like not interested, not even a little bit. So yeah, man. But
hold on. It's like we didn't just see Jordan Poyer come in here and stink out the entire season after being extremely physical in Buffalo. And again,
bro.
It goes back to what you telling me. Jordan Poyer was the physical.
I wasn't. I had zero interest in Jordan Poyer before.
No. But hold on. But that doesn't answer the question. Was he physical in Buffalo?
Yeah, but there's levels though. Like, he's I think. Yeah, I feel like Debo got way more entertaining than Jordan Poyer of last year. Before we even the year before last, he was supposed to come here, and I still didn't want him there. I like, I think he's already done. So we got him a year after that. So we ended up paying basically, I want to say, we let Brandon Jones go, and I want to be very clear. Brandon Jones, friend of the podcast, chose to leave the Dolphins. We tried to retain him, but he left for somewhere in between $3 to $6 million more. Who can be mad at that? You know what I'm saying? I'm not upset with Brandon Jones going to get paid $3 to $6 million more in an NFL where you're not guaranteed anything and you have to make money for your family. And then we ended up on Jordan Poyer. So it's not like we're going to get Jordan Poyer, we're going to let Brandon Jones walk. Nah, it just happened like that. So I'm okay with that, but I'm not out here tooting my horn about Jordan Poyer when Debo is bro. Even if we know Debo's not going to play every game, but the attitude he brings to the team is just like Jalen Ramsey. It's like Jalen Ramsey in practice. Everybody's like, oh, no, Jalen Ramsey take practice like a game. Like, Debo's going to bring, like, yo, Debo's the type of player. Hold on, see, Debo the type of player, I feel like will get into fights with people in the locker room because they're not in on the team. Like, that's how I see Debo and Jalen Ramsey. That's how I see him.
Name and just go back like 5, 6, 7 years, the offensive players we've had that have been like great tackle breakers. Like just tough guys that are just gonna just break tackles. We just haven't had these guys. And I'm not trying to dog on the running backs. Achan's been great and he can break tackles. But Smith has been like the best guy, and he's phenomenal after the catch. Imagine Debo's phenomenal after the catch too. Imagine just putting pieces like that together where, you know what, this play might not be the best play right now, but this player makes it. I mean, I understand speed happens. In September, yes, Hill is going to break a tackle and take it to the house. But the problem is we don't care about September. We care about January. We care about late in the season. Those are the tackles I need in Buffalo when it's cold to break that tackle and take it to the house. That's why Smith has been so great, because he has brought a physicality that I think we've been missing tremendously. And I won't even throw you guys under the bus right now about your boy. And I'll just leave.
Hey, no. Hey, throw us under the bus. Throw us under the bus. You talking about Mike Gesicki?
Oh yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
Bro, that's my dog. Like you telling me he didn't do something in Cincinnati? He's not a dude. Mike Gesicki's not a dude.
You said he was a top 5 tight end.
I said that.
Oh, hold
on.
It might be a while, but you actually brought me on the podcast one episode. Kadeem weren't here just to roast me because I said he wasn't, and we had to have. Yes, but
maybe I was wrong there. I might have been wrong there, but I will say this: I think Mike Gesicki doesn't get his credit, because if he ended up in a system where it would highlight his talents, then he wouldn't be this type of player where he doesn't get his attention. I.e., Goddard is in the perfect system. They play him the right way. No team really uses Mike Gesicki the right way. The Dolphins didn't, and then Cincinnati does, but that's only when T. Higgins gets hurt. So it's like, I mean, there's he's not an inline tight end. I'm not saying, I never said he was, but at the same time, I think he doesn't get his credit. Maybe I did say he was top 5.
He's soft. Let's just say what it is. He has a place in the NFL, but he's soft.
I just wanted to say, you mentioned Tyler Warren earlier, the tight end. And I've said this already. If the Dolphins go tight end at pick 13, not that it matters, but Dolphin fans are going to lose their mind. 100%. They lost their mind when we went Chop Robinson over offensive line, and Chop Robinson, great pick, like had a great year. But because I'm on social media a lot more than you two, and you can see it already. Whenever someone brings up Dolphins go tight end at 13, the comments are like, you don't know what you're doing, you're stupid, you have to go O-line, all that kind of stuff. And if you look at the success the Eagles have had with the offensive lineman pick, it's guys who won in the first round, because they just know how to find offensive linemen. I said this weeks ago. There's a picture of Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills offensive line, and Allen is like 6'4", I believe, height-wise, and he's the smallest out of all that group. And I think that's what I need from the Dolphins offensive line going forward. I need guys who love me some AC/DC, some Highway to Hell with no teeth, and they just want to punch guys in the mouth. That's what I need from the offensive line next year. None of this cute stuff. It's big brawlers.
Kadeem, if we draft a kid from Penn State at 13, are you upset about it?
Not at all.
I mean, it's early. I understand. It's not I'm not trying to say that's your final decision, but
no, like if the Dolphins go tight end, if they go wide receiver, I won't get angry, because that's not the only pick. They have between 8 and 10 picks to find minimum 2 offensive linemen, not to mention free agency. Like, I'm not gonna get upset because the first pick in the NFL for the Dolphins isn't an offensive lineman, because again, the Dolphins can't really draft offensive linemen that well. And like I said, the Eagles have a bunch of guys. And to be fair, even the Chiefs, Creed Humphreys was a second-round pick.
That's my dog.
Like, you can find amazing offensive linemen anywhere in the draft.
So I'm gonna say this, and this is probably it for me. And I know Kadeem got to go. We held ShareRide Steve against his will for an hour and a half now. Listen, I think I was the only Miami Dolphin content creator that said the Dolphins should trade up for Brock Bowers if he's in the vicinity of striking. I think I was the only one last year that said it. But this is going to be the third year in a row where there's going to be a tight end that comes into the league and everyone's going to be like, oh, he's a tight end. They take long to develop. And this dude is not going to take that long to develop. The first one that started off this trio, do you know who it was, Steve?
It wasn't Pitts.
Oh, it was Sam Laporta. It's your boy, Sam Laporta. The draft where you know, since you hit me with you said Mike Gesicki was a top 5 tight end, I'll take that. But now you got to live with the Detroit Lions blew their draft with the Swift, Laporta, and that linebacker. Yeah, you don't remember that? Don't make me pull receipts. Jack Campbell. Don't make me pull receipts.
You can try to pull those receipts. They're not true. We had a debate. I thought they drafted Gibbs too high. You said I feel like everybody they took one pick too early. They could have got everyone with their next pick, and you didn't like their draft. I don't recall.
Oh yeah. It's funny how we don't remember stuff, Steve. It's funny how we don't remember stuff.
Hold up, man. Hold up next time. I'll be here.
So it's Jahmyr Gibbs at 12, Jack Campbell at 18, Sam Laporta at 34, Brian Branch at 45, and I believe all 4 of those have made tremendous impacts and have had, especially last year as well, amazing seasons. Even like pick in the 3rd round, Broderick Martin, the defensive tackle. Like, yeah, well done.
I don't know, Steve. I could own my Mike Gesicki wrongness. You got to own that Detroit didn't blow their draft.
I'll say the 1st round. I wasn't dogging on Laporta, but yes, Campbell, a middle linebacker at 18 was steep, but hey, they got a great team. They're doing well.
Crazy, they took that L first game in the playoffs. That's crazy.
You know, our 1st round, I don't want to reach. I just want the best. I want a Hall of Famer. If whoever you think is going to be put on a gold jacket maybe one day, that's who you pick because you're picking high enough that you should feel that way.
We're not picking high enough. We're going to trade back. I'm sorry to bust your bubble. Listen, before we get out of here, Steve, I do got a question for you because if you trade back, you get an additional 2nd round pick. But I got a question for you. What happens? Because you said what you said earlier today about we need multiple playoff wins and AFC championship. You know what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes' worst season is an AFC championship loss. True story. As a starter, that's his worst season. Everything else was Super Bowl wins and losses. That's it. That's for Patrick Mahomes. That's the highest of highs. I understand that. What happens, ShareRide Steve, if the Dolphins go on some Detroit Lions, Minnesota Vikings 14-3 season and then lose their first playoff game with a 1 seed and a 1st round bye, and then the Dolphins still lose? You still done with the front office?
Probably not. But it depends on what it looks like, I guess, at the end.
That's my answer is always what's it look like? Like what's it look
close?
Like? What if it looks like Detroit?
Are we
what if it looks like Detroit? Detroit did great and then they wet the bed in their first playoff game, had a bye, all the good stuff. It looks like Detroit season.
Injuries.
No, they didn't wet the bed. They're injuries. Yeah, their story's injuries, 100%. They're fully healthy. They're not losing that game. Like, I think they're the best team on paper. That would have been amazing to see. Detroit fully healthy, Philly fully healthy. That is a game that we got robbed from. That would have been must-see TV. But, no, it's AFC Championship this year. No more playoff wins. That's not the bar. The bar is AFC Championship for this regime.
Yeah, 2 was on the clock. You replaced Jalen Hurts in the national championship, won it, and Jalen Hurts had to sit back and watch that happen. And now Jalen Hurts has reached 2 Super Bowls before Tua, won 1 before Tua. I'm waiting for what's that? What the kids say now? Like something like Tua is your time to respond or something like that. I don't know what they talk about, but yeah, man, it's time. Like we need to see something. Continue, you gonna get us out of here?
500 episodes, 5 years. Shout out to everyone who was with us live. Shout out to Michael Desire, says Penn State QB 2026, Miami Dolphins bet. ShareRide Steve, like I said, you are always welcome. It can't be a year later, like this off season, after free agency, before the draft, after the draft, pre-season, all the good stuff. Yeah, 100%. As I mentioned in the last episode, we have some amazing draft prospects coming on over the next few weeks. So make sure you have notifications turned on for that. But yep, I guess for everyone else, we shall see you soon. Peace.